Hello, this is Chucky from C. Delano Photography, and today I'm going to talk about focus stacking. Now, this is a controversial subject. Some people feel that you should just take one photo, and other people feel it's okay to stack a bunch of different images to get a nice sharp depth of field from front to back. Now, what am I talking about? Let's take a look at the picture of this cactus that I captured. Now, as you can see, only a portion of this is in focus, right here, and the rest of it is a little blurry. Now, why did I take the picture like that? Well, my 70-200, the sweet spot is at f5.6, and you can only get a certain amount in focus at f5.6. So I took many different shots. If you look at this one, the very top of this flower is in focus. And as we go through all the different pictures, you can see a different part of the picture is in focus. Now, why did I do that? Well, I did that so that I could focus stack my images so that everything from the front to back would be in focus. So today what we're going to look at is we're going to look at how to focus stack your images in Photoshop and in Photoshop Elements. Yes, you heard me. There is a plugin that you can focus stack using your Photoshop Elements. Now, like I said before, focus stacking takes pictures at different focus distances so that everything in the picture will be in focus. So you can do this with a landscape, you can do this with macros. Now, one thing that you want to do is figure out where the sweet spot in your lens is. Now, that's usually somewhere around 5.6. And then what you want to do is you want to take a picture at the closest focusing distance and then keep moving back until the very furthest thing that you want in focus has been captured. Now, I'm in Photoshop Creative Cloud right now. I'm going to go to File, Scripts, and load files into a stack. Then we're going to go to Browse, and I'm going to select all my files inside this folder. Now, as you can see, I've already finished one, so I'm not going to include that, and then I'm going to press Open. The next thing we want to do is we want Photoshop to automatically align our sources just in case when we were taking pictures we move the camera a little bit. We're going to check that box and then select OK. Now, Photoshop is going to open each image into a separate layer. Now, I'm going to fast forward this video so that you don't have to wait for Photoshop to align all the images. Now, as you can see in the Layers palette, Photoshop opened each one of the images in a separate layer. Now, when we look at our photos here, it looks like it's strange because some of it is in focus up here and some of it isn't in focus down here. Now, that could have happened because I misaligned some of the photos and Photoshop was aligning them, and at the top right here I could be looking at images underneath the very top image. So at this point, don't worry if your image looks a little strange. The next thing we need to do is make all of the layers active. As you can see at the top, we only have one layer active. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, hold the Shift key, click the last layer, and now you have all files active. Now go to Edit and Auto Blend Layers. Now, this is where the magic happens. Photoshop is going to figure out which parts of the photos are in focus and what is not, and it's going to mask out all those areas. Leave these two boxes checked and select OK. As you can see in the Layers palette, it has masked off all sorts of different areas in these photos and has created a composite that is sharp from the very top of the flower all the way to the bottom of the cactus spikes. Now, this was done in Photoshop, but not everyone has the advantage of having Photoshop. So let's go ahead and see if we can do this in Photoshop Elements. Now, I was searching on the internet to see if there was any way for Photoshop Elements to do the focus stacking. And what came up in my search was elementsplus.net. So if you look at this, from Photoshop Elements 6 all the way up to the 2019 version, you can add all sorts of functionality back into Photoshop Elements and make it almost a Photoshop clone. Now, I went in to buy my full version, and I have to give this website credit because at first I didn't really notice the windows there, and I said for Photoshop Elements 15, which I had, and I purchased it, and then I realized it was an exe file and I have a Mac. What you need to do if you do have a Mac is you go down here where it says for Photoshop Elements Mac, and you click on that, and it has the exact same versions right here, and I went into Photoshop Elements 15 for Mac. Now since then they've given me a refund of the Windows version, and I've purchased the Photoshop Elements 15 for Mac version. These guys are great, and they were very attentive to my email and sent me the information back very quickly. Now, I'm not on their payroll or anything, I just happened to find this, and I think it's a great little plug-in to have for Photoshop Elements. Now, I have Elements 15 already, and I was going to purchase Elements 2019 when I stumbled upon the Elements Plus. So right now I'm going to install it, and you can see that it gives us that focus stacking ability. So I'm going to double click this, and it's going to open it up. But because it is not an Apple certified app, it is going to tell me that I cannot install it. Right there it says it's an unidentified developer. So I say OK, and then after that I go up here to my system preferences, and then I go to the security page right there, and then it says this was blocked. Then there's a button that says open it anyway. Now, if you trust the people, you can open it. If you do not know these people, then do not open it. So I'm going to open this, and it's going to take me through the Photoshop Elements 15 installer. So I'm going to install this for you, and then we're going to try and use it. Now we're installed, and I'm going to open Photoshop Elements 15. Let's go to the photo editor. After installing Elements Plus, I did notice that it takes a little while when Photoshop Elements opens up after you've installed it, and it builds contents and effects. So it's putting some sort of plug-in and actions into the software so that it's available for you. When you first open Photoshop Elements, you need to press the Expert button right here, and then if it doesn't already show up at the top right here, instead of all these other things, you select Elements Plus right there. And this is the one that we're interested in. These are different scripts. Now, in order for this script to work, we have to have all the photos open. So it's a little different than Photoshop in that instead of stacking all the images in one layer, in Photoshop Elements, we can just open all the photos in a separate file. Let's go to File, Open. I'm going to do the same thing, select Control A. Now I've already got this as a photo stack, so I'm not going to include that one. And then I'm going to select Open. And then it's going to open each one in a separate file. Now that each different photo is opened inside Photoshop Elements, we select this particular button right here that says Scripts. It's number 9. You click on that, you select Focus Stacking, and then there's a little green arrow, and you click Run on that particular one. Then Photoshop Elements opens a new photo, merges them all together, and then masks out all the different unfocused parts and puts all the focused parts together into one file. After a few minutes, we get a dialog box that says Done. We select OK, and there is our photo. I'm going to zoom in on this image just like we zoomed in on the image created in Photoshop. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job of finding the focused area on this flower and these different petals and all the different types of leaves and prickly things in this image. I'm going to put this back to normal, and as you can see, it did a great job. So if you're looking to do any kind of photo stacking and you don't want to do it manually or by hand, and you don't want to purchase the Photoshop full version, and you already have Photoshop Elements, I suggest you go to Elements Plus and just buy the $12 plug-in for this and use this, because it has all sorts of other different types of things which we'll look at in future videos. This is Chucky from C. Delano Photography. I hope you liked that video, and I hope you found some use for focus stacking. I'll see you around in my next video.